Okay, so for this video, we will be going over their conjugation for verbs. Now, let's take a minute and talk about how do you differentiate between conjugations. So take a minute, think about what endings in the dictionary entry our first conjugation and second conjugation verbs have. So first conjugation verbs end in the first part with an O. Then they go ARE, AVI, and often. So the O and then ARE is a characteristic of first conjugation verbs because this will change sometimes and this might change. So always look at the first two parts of a verb to see what conjugation it is. Second conjugation, EO and ERE. Now this is a long E. We don't usually use long marks in this class, but in case you're wondering, that is a long E. So EO, ERE. Third conjugation is going to be a combination of first conjugation and second conjugation. So it's going to be O and ERE. And this E is going to be short. And we'll see why in a minute. So let's come over here to the verb that I have for us. That is third conjugation. So here we have ago, agera, egi, actum. And this means to do or drive. So the meaning of this verb will vary depending on what noun it is, goes with. So what direct object or what subject it takes. So looking here at present tense, what is the first thing we always do for present tense? First step is always bring it down. They always give you first person present tense. What's the second thing we usually do? We go to our second part, we cut off the RE, and we find our stem. Now, I mentioned that the E in ago, agera is not long, it's short. It's a weak E. And so that E gets replaced by an I and a U. So in the third conjugation, present tense, in the stem, the E gets replaced. And then, like every other verb that we have, we just add our personal endings. And there we have third declension, present tense. Next, let's look at future. So, what's the first thing we always do for future? Get our stem. Now, Usually, we would add what for conjugations 1 and 2? We would usually add bo, by, and boo. But this is only for conjugations 1 and 2. For future, 4 and 3, we use A and E. So notice that when I wrote this, I left out the E. Now, when you're filling this out, you can write the E, but then you have to note that this is third conjugation. You have to erase that E. You have to add A and leave the E, 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 and E, which makes it future. That shows us this verb is future. And then you just add your personal endings. Whenever we have an A, M. Then it's just regular personal endings. And there we have future tense in the third conjugation. Now, imperfect. What is the first thing we do for imperfect? Every single time? We get the stem. And then we need something to add to make it imperfect. And then we just add our personal endings. So nothing has changed for imperfect. It's still the same formula. Your stem, BA, personal endings. Let's look at perfect in the third conjugation. First thing you do, take your third part of the verb. Because they always give you first person perfect. Now, to get our perfect stem, we take off the I. And all that's left is to put on our perfect endings. And there you have perfect third conjugation. So nothing has changed for perfect. So to recap, everything stays the same for imperfect and perfect. Nothing changes. You go to the same steps you do for first and second conjugation. You get your stem, add ba, put your personal present endings. Perfect, third part of the verb, take off the I to get your perfect stem, and then your perfect endings. The only times it's going to be different is for future and present tense. Present tense, we fill that in because it gives us that. Then instead of doing the stem, that E in the stem turns to an I. And then we just put on our personal endings like always. So the only step you're changing is that E in the stem changes to an I. In the future, we get our stem, and then instead of adding bo by boo to make a future, we're going to add A and E. So we keep the E's, and we change an E in the first person to an A, and then put on our personal present endings. So those are the only two tenses where it changes for third conjugation. And so remember, first conjugation starts with an O and then goes to ARE in the second part. Second conjugation, EO, then ERE. Third conjugation is O, ERE. And that is third conjugation in Latin.